This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Ping.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
When was the last time you felt inspired? Are you ready to take your passions to make a difference while living a life you truly love? Your host, Katana Abbott, who is a life and legacy wealth coach and certified financial planner, searches the world to bring you experts in the field of personal and professional growth, wealth creation, and mind, body, and spirit. So grab a cup of coffee and take that quantum leap you've been waiting for. Smart Women Talk Radio, the link to live with purpose, passion, and prosperity.
Hello, everyone. This is Katana Abbott, and I am so thrilled to welcome you to Smart Women Talk, where I search the world for smart women and a few good men. And this includes best-selling authors, thought leaders, and change agents who are on that leading edge. So we have topics like money, business, health, inspiration, and the metaphysical. Today, I have a really interesting guest. For those of you who don't know that much about our guest, she is an author of The Teachings of God, Greeting Your Soul and Revealing the Divine Within. Her name is Courtney Amundson, and we're going to talk about these teachings from God and how she discovered her authentic light. So while most teenagers are worrying about wearing the right lip color, following the right YouTube star, Courtney is only worried about whether the messages she has been delivering from the divine are reaching enough people. Because Courtney was a mere 16 when she began following the footsteps of Esther Hicks, Jane Roberts, Edgar Cayce, and J.C. Knight as an extraordinary powerful channel. So today, she just turned 20 last month, and she is wise beyond her years. And she is going to be introducing her teachings from God, Greeting the Soul and Revealing the Divine Within. And I've got this book, and let me tell you, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's very content rich, but it's a book that she lovingly channeled, this wisdom, and she is bringing this to the world. So during the next hour with Courtney, she is going to be talking, we're going to ask her about her personal journey, and she's going to be sharing the key messages that were brought forth in this book, Teachings from God. So we'll talk about how God and source energy are really within us, not outside of us, and how your life changes from victim to empowerment when you experience your authentic nature, and why you can never be lost in life. So our job is to follow the signposts the universe gives us and to have an open heart to a perspective that is larger than our own without judgment. So this woman really walks her talk. I just cannot wait to introduce you to her. First, though, I have a tip that I want to share with you, and this tip came to me this morning. For those that are listening to the show live today, I want to mention that today is International Women's Day, so this is a big day we want to celebrate with Smart Women's Empowerment. So to celebrate, I've been invited to attend an event that's been arranged by the International Women's Forum, and tonight we have now. On the show here, we have a young lady, 20. Well, tonight we have a very special guest that we'll be meeting, and I'll share with you her age in a moment. But her name is Gisela Becker. She's the founder of Spanko, and she has worked tirelessly to build a hospital, a dental clinic, and an orphanage to provide educational and vocational opportunities to children in need in Ghana. Yes, the other side of the world. In fact, on February 8th, she returned home from Ghana, where she travels 4 times per year. And what makes this really amazing is Gisela Becker is just 86 years young. That's right. So seriously, I can't wait to meet her. And a good source told me that she's going to make me and all the people I'm with at our table feel like slugs because of her high dynamic energy. So as an extra treat, many of you follow Rhett Simpson. I know our listeners know who she is. We're gonna be viewing her movie trailer tonight at the event as well, and it's called Andrea Doria. Are the passengers saved? So Rhett Simpson is a dear friend. She's an international author of Alive on the Andrea Doria, the greatest sea rescue ever told, and she is also an international speaker. And she's actually created a movie now that will be making its international film debut in the film festivals. And what is amazing about this, and why I'm sharing this with you, because I am tying this all together, is that it was less than a year ago. It was April 7, 2015, and I interviewed Rhett on Smart Women Talk Radio. In that interview, the movie was just a dream. So tonight, when I go to this event, I am going to be on a mission to invite both Gisela and Rhett to be a guest on the show this spring so they can both share their journeys with you. So I want to mention to you who are maybe just listening for the first time that if you'd like to know who's coming up in the future, I do a e-zine every Monday that will let you know who all the upcoming guests are. You get our in the e-zine, I link to articles. We have contributing experts. You'll also receive 100 days of inspirational quotes by women. So I get these myself because every time they're up, because they go for 100 days, I re-sign up at smartwomen'sempowerment.org. So this morning I opened up my day 54. And the quote was, many women miss their greatest chance of happiness through a want of courage in a decisive moment. Both Rhett and Gisela have had to tap into their courage to bring their dreams to reality. I remember Rhett sharing that decisive moment in her life when she was invited to share her story to the students at the Country Day School where she was a French teacher. For those who don't know Rhett, she was a survivor on the Andrea Doria shipwreck when she was just 9 years old. And little did she know that her story would create such excitement and curiosity in the minds of the students that were listening to her. They came up afterwards and wanted to know more. And what do teachers want? They want to inspire students, right? So all her life, she had kept this experience quiet, not really wanting to talk about it because it was a tragic experience. But once she told her story, everything began to shift because she got speaking engagements. And so they say, ask and you shall receive. And that's exactly what happened to Rhett. She made the decision to write her story as a chapter like I did. She was in the book, Thank God I. She was in book 1. I was in book 2. Writing that chapter led her to realize that there was a bigger story there. And she began to interview all the survivors of the Andrea Doria, both here and in the U.S., here and overseas. She traveled all over Europe. And this led her to not only sharing her autobiography and these biographies of these other survivors, she cleared the name of the Italian captain who was blamed for the wreck. He was the captain of the Andrea Doria, because she was able to illustrate in the book how the Stockholm actually was at fault. I mean, this wasn't her original dream, folks. This is what evolved. This is what happens when you step through your fear. So her book debuted on the 50th anniversary of the sinking of the Andrea Doria. She was interviewed as a subject matter expert on PBS and Sunday Morning News with Charles Osgood, and she's been called on many, many times since then. That project, she was married to it. It was over 4 years of her life. It took a total commitment. Since she shared her story with her students, Pierrette not only wrote the book, but her original book, but she also wrote a novel about her experience as a 9-year-old, and it was about her as the little girl. She's traveled, as a subject matter expert, as I mentioned, and now this film has come up. So I watched, in amazement as all of this has fallen into place. So my question to you, because I hope you're thinking about your own life when I tell these tips, when I share these tips. What if Pierrette had given up on her dream? Think of all the lives she's touched. Not only what's happened in her own life, but all the lives she's touched. Each of us comes to Earth with a purpose. And we don't know what that is when we're born. We kind of forget. It's our job. Our journey is to figure it out. So I'm inviting you to think about your life and your dreams, and don't look back with regret or resentment about how things, let's say, things that you've missed out on or things that you didn't do. No. Instead, I want you to look forward and then just follow the simple 3-step process to bring your dreams to a reality. And I know Tara will be posting these on the Smart Women Talk Radio fan page for Facebook. So you go to Smart Women Talk Radio on Facebook and you'll see the fan page. So number 1, schedule time to get clear about what it is you really, really want. And you can play with this. You can pretend you have a magic wand, because you really do. Number 2, once you are clear, stay focused on what you want. So some people create a vision board, put it in writing, so they can see it. But be sure to tell others you can trust and ask for help. So stay focused. Every woman I know has followed those steps in number 2, including asking for help. And then number 3 is to finally trust and be patient. Watch as the magic begins to happen. And when it does, breathe and ask for courage. So you can walk through your fear and allow the universe to dance with you. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. When you step forward, others are going to show up to support you, I promise. And if you have a dream and you want to talk to me about it, please feel free to book a complimentary phone session with me. I've done this for hundreds of women over the years, so you don't have to be afraid to share your dream with me. But you can book your session at talkwithkatana.com. That's talkwithkatana.com. So write that number down, write that URL down, and let's chat. So I know that Courtney is waiting on the line, and you can't wait to meet her. So we are going to be back in just a moment to meet Courtney and to discover how she found her authentic light, and her book, Teachings from God. We'll be right back.
Thank you for joining us here at Smart Women Talk Radio, a place to learn, prosper, and grow. Tune in again next week for another exciting episode of Smart Women on the CTR Network. And remember to live with purpose, passion, and prosperity. Welcome back to Smart Women Talk.
This is Katana Abbott, and you're listening to Contact Talk Radio and Smart Women Talk. So I would like to introduce you now to our very special guest, Courtney Amundson. So Courtney began her path as a seeker at a young age, progressing to the point that these teachings that she has, they began to flow through her effortlessly and with complete love and joy. She was just 16. In the beginning, the wisdom was received for her own evolution and understanding. But after a short time, she was guided to share it with as many people as possible through her book, Teachings from God. Since then, she has worked single-mindedly on getting these teachings out to the public, not only through the work of the book, but expanding and sharing her insights through published articles and speaking. And at the end of the show, I'm going to make sure she shares with you how to connect with her, because I know you're going to want to. So to learn more, you can visit her website, teachingsfromgod.com. Teachingsfromgod.com. So Courtney, I'm so thrilled to have you here. Welcome to Smart Women Talk.
Thank you so much. And it's, as we were just kind of speaking about off the air, that it's National Women's Day. And it's amazing, and I'm so excited that I'm so excited to be on the show and to talk with you.
I mean, you are the youngest guest we've ever had on the show, and I'm sure a lot of people have said that to you.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's been the case, and it's also just been such a journey for me, sharing and finding my tribe as I'm starting to kind of come out of my shell a little bit more and share. So it's been exciting for me.
So you're going to have to share with us your story. I'd love to hear this. You're now a young woman of 20. And this all started when you were 16. And, and I've got your book. You were doing Qigong and learning to meditate. Is that it?
Yeah, I learned to
Or did it start sooner? I don't know.
Yeah, I learned to meditate when I was about 9 years old.
Wow.
And I learned from the Qigong master here in Minnesota. His name is Courtney Lin, and he's the founder of Spring.
Courtney, I'm going to let I just got a text from our from Tara, and she's saying she can't hear us. And I don't want that to happen to our guests. So I'm going to ask her. Okay, so we are okay? Okay, just double check then. Okay, so anyway, I'm sorry about that. I just want to make sure that we're coming in clearly.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, no, that's really important. So we're just starting this, and so you were 9 years old, and you started to meditate, and who taught you to meditate?
So this Qigong master here in Minnesota, Courtney Lin, he taught me to meditate. I was starting to study Qigong at that point, and I was really inspired by him. I remember my first healing appointment with him. It was my whole family was in there, and I remember we were all like in a really rough place. We were sick, and we were sitting in there, and he was walking around all four of us making hand movements, and he instructed us to just close our eyes and to focus on our lower dantian, which is the energy point right behind the navel, behind the belly button. And he said just to visualize a golden sun there. And so that's what I did, and I was focusing there, but my curiosity kind of got the best of me, and I was opening my eyes, and I was looking around the room, and I was just kind of amazed at what I was feeling. I could feel the energy kind of moving within me, and his energy and just presence really struck me, and so I knew at that point that I wanted to be a healer, and I wanted to use my life to help humanity in some way. And so that was the point when I think I kind of realized what I wanted to do. And so it was after that I started to do the meditations, and I started to really just dedicate my time to that. And that's how I found my safe place, and how I would calm myself down at night. I would do these meditations, And I was also just, a seeker in the spiritual path. From that age, I was always kind of just wanting to know the answer to life and what my purpose was. And I found a lot of inspiration in the Qigong community because it was all these other people that were asking the same types of questions as me and believed that health and wellness were, are, it's just vital for our entire self.
And Courtney, I hear our producer, this doesn't happen normally, but our producer is saying that we are breaking up, so we want to make sure that we have a real clear connection. So we're going to take a short break.
Okay.
Okay, and so we'll be back in just a moment.
Smart Women Talk Radio is brought to you by Smart Women's Empowerment, a 501c3 nonprofit project of the United Charitable Programs. At Smart Women's Empowerment, their goal is to inspire and empower women and girls to live more confident, joyful, and abundant lives by supporting mentoring, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship. Join them today at smartwomenscoaching.com for your free prosperity video training, daily inspirational tips, and how to access over 200 radio shows and free resources from their new Smart Women mobile app. Simply go to smartwomenscoaching.com now to get started.
So, Courtney?
Yep.
Hi. So you were meditating at 9 years old and having these divine experiences. Did you talk to anybody about it? And if you did, how did they react?
Well, I think it was mostly within my family and the community of, more spiritual people that we really hung out with. Mostly Qigong, the Qigong community, which I would kind of talk about these experiences with, but a lot of it was to myself or to my family, but that was kind of the safe place where I could grow and kind of just be myself, be authentic, and explore the things that I was passionate about and feel really safe in that place. And so my family's always been kind of central for that. So I really do give a lot of credit to Master Lin for helping me in that way to kind of come into myself and all of those questions I was asking at an early age, I think, has primed the communication that I now have and what started at 16. And I was asking what's the purpose of life and how do I be of service and those are, big things. I didn't really understand why other people, just wanted to make a lot of money or, get good test scores. To me, that was, I did it as I needed to, but I saw more purpose to my life. And so
talk to us. You mentioned asking. You say it's very important to ask. Tell us the power, because I talked about it a little bit in my tip too. This power of asking,
right?
Because you asked for God to open up a path and give you clarity about why you're here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me it's always been intuitive that we're not alone here on this planet. That there is a source that is guiding us all of the time, and I realized throughout this work that we have free will as human beings, and nothing can get in the way of that unless we are the ones that are opening up the door to know more information. And that goes on a personal level and a universal level. And so for me, when I kind of realized that, I realized that any information that is presented to humanity is in response to our collective desire. And so when we ask for the divine to guide us in our life, to be part of our life, then we can unify ourselves, bring all the pieces in, and start to empower ourselves in a position where we are no longer separate from God or below God. We are one, and we can co-create our reality together. And so free will is a foundational piece to being human, and anything that we are wanting to bring forth in our life, or anything that we are wanting clarity on, we have to ask for that to be presented to us, and then the actual process of allowing that to come forth is listening. You have to learn to actively listen. I realized that prayer, in a sense, is it's almost like you're talking to a wall, like you're talking to yourself, and you have this idea that God is separate from you and might be judging you. And I've learned that it's actually the opposite, that we're the ones that allow ourselves to be closer to that creative source. And when we awaken to our true, authentic nature, we realize that we're one with everything around us, and that allows us to open up to more information about who we really are, what we came to do, our soul's purpose, our personal soul's purpose. And it's very empowering and very freeing to understand that you're more than just this physical body, and that.
So did you realize that when you were just 9 years old, or did that come later?
That came later, when I was 16. And
so tell us what happened. There was something that happened at 16, because you said you stayed more quiet with your community, but you ended up speaking and sharing and writing. How did this happen at 16? It's amazing. It's like, the story of Jesus in the temple with the, Pharisees or whatever in the Bible. It talks about this little child coming in with wisdom. You must be tapping into some kind of source.
Yeah.
Because no one taught you, apparently. Did someone teach this, or is it something that came from within?
Oh, it came from within, yeah. I had an awakening point on March 12th, 2012, and that was the day when the communication started for me. I was taking a meditation break during my day, and I'll also mention that I was introduced to the Abraham Hicks material and The Secret and the Law of Attraction when I was 9, so that also kind of primed some of the questions, but so that it was this specific day, March 12, 2012, when I was meditating, and I was sitting on the couch, and I said the usual mantra in my mind that I learned from Courtney Lynn, and that mantra is, I am in the universe is in my body, the universe and I combine together. And every time I said that in my mind, I would, go into a kind of peaceful place and feel good and everything. But in this moment, I felt something different. I felt my body get extremely light and weightless, and I felt a golden funnel of light come from the top of my head down into my body. And the way I experienced it, I could only imagine, or really, it felt like an angel. That's what it felt like, that had entered my body. And it was just this golden, just effervescent light that was sparkling in my body, and kind of liquid light. It was moving throughout my body, and it moved down into my arms and into my fingertips, and I just felt this unconditional love as this was happening in wisdom. And
in a sense of warmth, right? Like emanating from your heart out.
Yeah.
And I've had that. It's amazing.
It wanted to be expressed, and I started to feel the light shooting out of my fingertips really powerfully. And so I went to the computer, as I was thinking I should do that, I was remembering Esther Hicks' story. She went to the typewriter when she started to talk to Abraham. And so I knew that story, and I went to the computer and I opened up a blank Word document, and I surrendered, and I said, whatever you need to tell me, show me, I'm listening. And closed my eyes, put my hands down on the fingerboard, and they started to type on their own. And it was a really amazing introduction. That first day, I think I sat there for a couple of hours and started having these amazing conversations with Source. I learned that it was Source energy because the words that were coming through were in plural. It was always we instead of I. And so I questioned about that. I was, thinking, what does that mean? And I realized that it was Source energy, that it's, the creation in which we all are birthed from, and where we all go back to. It's our home. It's the place that loves us unconditionally, that we haven't separated from, and it's essentially here to guide us and help us as we're a human being and also a divine being at the same time. And so it's about unifying with our full self and learning our potential and learning how to evolve on a human level, which also evolves our soul and allows us to kind of fast track, if you will, and understand some things so that we can move forward and move forward with our life with more ease. So it gave me a lot of practical tips, and also a deep understanding of my true nature. And so that's what I'm kind of here to help others to discover within themselves, is that there's a pure place within your being that is untouched, that is divine, that is holy, and that's the part that is, part of God. It's the part that is guiding you. And
do you feel like you're tapping into something that's called like a wisdom field or universal consciousness, that you're actually, when you go into the state, that you're actually tapping into that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another word for, I guess, the word that's used more in my book is all that is, or oneness, but they all mean the same thing, essentially, in the end. And it's, it's the field of consciousness that connects us all, and it's unconditional love.
But Courtney, the reason I'm asking is, I'm on this quest right now to learn how to tap into that on command, to be able to go there on a regular basis. And I have seen over and over and over where, there's this, where does genius come from? There's a show, there was a program on the History Channel. And, the title was, where does genius come from? And they show, a gentleman who got hit on the head, and he was able to come up without any training the whole periodic table, for chemistry. And, people like, Nikola Tesla, who was an inventor, and he said he received these, divine downloads of all these inventions because he had thousands of patents, and he would see the complete, invention completely done in a diagram. He could easily then, draw it out. But he said these inventions weren't coming from something he learned on the outside. They were coming from the inner, and he didn't know where they were coming from. Right. Little children like Mozart who were able to sit down, you see all these, people that are considered musical geniuses, and they just can sit down and they're tapping into something with no formal training. They can play all this music. So, where is that the same place? Are they somehow tapping into that? And they're just maybe not even aware of it, or maybe they are.
Well,
is it the same thing?
It is kind of one of the same, because we are connected to all that is, but there is a personal, what you would call the Akashic Records, which is basically a storehouse or library, if you will, of our soul's evolution, and we all have that. And so there is a few chapters in my book, and other teachers also talk about the Akashic Records, but what's talked about in my book is that all of our lifetime's history is stored within our physical body, and when we ask for those things to be presented to us, we can allow those talents to come forth. And so that would explain why, someone so young can literally bring forth this incredible amount of wisdom that, he or she has not learned on that, in that lifetime. And yet they have a complete understanding on a subject. And that is a direct experience of, really what our physical body is capable of remembering, and, that no information is lost when we incarnate into our next lifetime, whether it's human or otherwise. We have the ability to bring forth all of those tools, and there is a chapter in my book called The Infinite Golden Toolbox, and it talks about that. It talks about how we can allow those things to come forth in this lifetime to help us, to guide us. So things that we feel like we have to learn over again, we might already have that, wisdom within us that we can use, and we don't have to learn it over again. So, we're seeing that more and more and more, especially in younger children, how they come forth and they just automatically know so many things, and
if we don't shut it down, see?
Yeah, if you don't shut it down, or if your environment doesn't shut it down. But in the end, it's up to you to support yourself and to believe in your own self. But
so when you say all these experiences are stored in the body, I've never done work with people on past life regression or anything like that. But when I'm working with someone on their money mindset, on disempowering beliefs, and they tell me, we finally identify what that belief is that's been ruling their life. I ask them where they feel it when they say it. Where do they feel it in their body? And they will normally point out one of their chakras. I feel it in my throat. A lot of times it's in the heart. It's in the stomach area, above or below. But they'll tell me where it is in their body. And then when I tell them, go to that feeling and tell me where you were when you first felt that, they go right to an experience. And so what I'm seeing from that is that all our experiences, you just said it, are stored in the body. And so we're able to actually go there and to deal with that. We go there and through breath work, and some people might use body work to release that. I'm able to help that person release that experience I use breath work, and they will feel that that emotion, that experience actually leave their body either up or down. Through, the channel, I guess. And then we come up with a new empowering belief. Then there's some homework around that. How does that fit into this work that you're doing? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Everyone has their own, I guess, journey or what they need to move through in their lifetime. So I think it's different for everyone. But for me, I had to move through some fears and some, limiting beliefs and things like that, where I, instead of trying to figure out, what's the best 12-step process to, move through this, or instead of trying to drive my own progress or try to evolve myself, I just asked, the divine to show me what I needed to know. And my biggest thing is, building a relationship with the divine, something that feels personal and, like your best friend every day, that is something that can, help guide you wherever you're at. And so, I think that
to know you're never alone. I mean, that's really empowering right there.
Yeah, it is. And so for me, I just asked, show me what I need to see, and then I would be, guided through something to help, release or to help move through, or see it from the higher perspective. And so for me, I learned that I'm really my greatest healer, and so I kind of shied away from, past life regression or anything like that. I wanted to experience what, my soul wanted to show me, instead of maybe trying to bring forth something that I wanted, from my mind. But I did have a lot of healings from that, and I did, move through some other lifetimes that needed to be shown to me for specific reasons that would help me now in, moving forward on my soul purpose. So you just,
I want to have you repeat that. You're saying that you actually have experienced prior lives?
Yeah, I have. I don't talk about it much.
How did you do that? I mean, because there are people that do, regression therapy, usually psychologists, and that they can take people back into a prior life. Dr. Brian Weiss, I think, is one that does that. But you did this for yourself. Did it happen in a meditation, or did someone do it for you?
No, it happened in a meditation. I've always guided myself. I've always asked,
Can you tell us what happened, or do you mind sharing?
Well, it's something that, I don't remember the details on, because it was a long time ago for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But what I really do want to pass on, the message for me that's most important, is that we need to focus on this moment. And what I was told, and what I've always been told, is that, trying to move, back in time, or what we call back in time, is really irrelevant. And if it needs to be presented to us, it will be presented in a way that is best for us in that moment. But we shouldn't focus as much on chasing after it, because if there is something that needs to be presented, it will, if we're open to it. But otherwise, we're actually bringing ourselves out of this moment, and it can not actually serve us. It can move us in a direction that would not allow us to progress at a soul level, because we don't want to dwell in those things.
So let me ask you about this, because there's so much negative things going on in the world right now. You're talking about connecting with God and staying in this, high frequency and everything, in this idea of oneness. What is your view with what's happening in the world and the evil? And how do you suggest each of us should deal with that?
Well, I think where we put our attention and where we put our energy is really what fuels that. And unfortunately, our news and most of what people talk about is more on the negative than it is the positive. And it is depressing a lot of the time to tune into that. And it's even got to the point where sometimes it gets hilarious that anything on TV is, just not at all positive. But what I try to remember is all of that is coming from the human perspective, and what's going on at the more universal level, at the higher perspective, bird's eye view. What's happening is we're really moving through a divine plan. It's something that we've all co-created together. And so there is something about the great contrast that we're experiencing on Earth the fear, the separation, all of that causes a mass emotional tip, I guess you would say. It's hard to explain, but I see it kind of like a scale where we're all through this great contrast, through all this fear and separation and knowing what we don't want so fiercely, that we're all kind of, finally on one side of the scale all together. And even though it's negative, even though it feels bad, and all we see is negative things happening around the world, we're all in one place at the same time. And so that allows us, at a mass consciousness level, to all decide together that we don't like that, so now we want to move in a different direction. And that's exactly what is happening, is people are realizing, whether you're conflicting political views or conflicting religious views, you can agree on some subjects that it's not good. It's not good, that we need to start coming together. And so it's allowing us to revisit our intentions at a soul level, are really what's important. And so from the higher perspective, everything is as it should be right now. And it is hard to see from that place when our humanness gets in the way a lot of the time.
Right, and we know, if we look back in history, that we have always had wars. I mean, we had the Crusades, right, where the Christians were going out and beheading and killing people, and now, we have ISIS. So we've had this kind of thing going on, for centuries, correct?
Right, and I've also been told on that subject that suffering is never going to go away, that it is really going to be about how we change our relationship to it, and it will be more of a guidance system, something that will show us when we're in harmony with ourselves or not in harmony with ourselves, instead of something that is separate from us, that is negative. So that's something to look forward to. We are evolving, even if it doesn't look like it from the outside. We certainly are. And, I've experienced over and over and over again when I have these conversations with Source, with the universe. I have these conversations, and there's so much love for humanity and so much reverence, and they really do commend us for all of our work, and they say over and over and over again that we're the warriors, and that we're so courageous for doing this journey. And sometimes it means sacrificing ourselves. Sometimes it means, being the bad guy so that we can tip the scales and help really the universe to figure out, help humanity figure out what's really important for us. So, I really do see at this point, I really do see all of those negative influences, people that have caused a lot of destruction, to be part of the bigger plan. And I do understand that it was part of their evolution as well. And so
in other words, what you're saying, they chose to come here to play that role. It doesn't mean their soul is evil, but
no.
they may be a very highly evolved soul that has decided that in this lifetime they're going to come here and create this experience, perhaps to usher in, to usher in, I don't know if you want to call it New Jerusalem or, the new awakening that's happening on the planet. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yep. That's what's happening, so we have to try to not think like humans when it comes to subjects like that or people like that who I'm thinking of like Hitler right now, because that's someone who, brought a ton of chaos, and yet I understand now that all of those people such as him that created a lot of destruction and chaos really are helping us to evolve on a more universal level. And so they chose it, and it was part of their evolution, and also a sacrifice as well for them to do that, and an act of courage. And again, it doesn't really make sense when you're thinking about it from the mind. You have to kind of see from the higher perspective to understand that and feel that. But it is something that is difficult to understand for me, I'm sure, for many people, because we are human beings, and what we see on the outside is a lot of the same. It feels like a lot of the same, and that, maybe we haven't made much progress, and that's kind of how we spin it and how we talk about it. But
there has been, a lot of progress. So, Courtney, we're down to the last couple of minutes. I told you I'd give you a 10-minute heads up, but I didn't. Sorry. So what I want to do, I love your book, and you're right. You cannot sit down and devour the book. The book, because you'll get, overloaded with, because it's so rich. So it really is something you read a chapter. It's a short chapter, and then you can journal on that, think about it, and then you go to the next part. Can you please just share with our guests, because I know this, but I wanted to come from you, like in a minute or two. Just tell us quickly how people can connect with you and some of the wonderful things you have, like the book club, for example.
Sure. Yeah, so you can connect with me through my website, which is teachingsfromgod.com. And on there I have all of my social media links right on the homepage. If you scroll down to the bottom, I'm on pretty much all the social media sites, and that's really fun for me to connect with people. And so be sure to check that out. And then I also have, I am doing an online book club, which I'm still trying to figure out the details on, but it is, for now, it is going to be held monthly and through a YouTube live event. So you can go to my website and subscribe, and that'll be the ticket. I'll send out some emails. And then I also have some other interviews if you want to check that out. And be sure to reach out, send me a message if you want, and I'd love to talk with you. So
that's wonderful. Well, we have to wrap, and I want to thank you for coming on our show. I'm just thrilled to have you here on International Women's Day.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And next week, to celebrate women, we have another gifted author, Yol Swan. She's the author of The Indigo Journal, Spiritual Healings for Indigo Adults and Other Feminine Souls. She says indigo adults are feminine souls with certain masculine qualities. So I know it's going to be exciting, and you'll want to join us. So we'll look forward to connecting with you again next week. And until then, live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity.
Thank you for joining us here at Smart Women Talk Radio, a place to learn, prosper, and grow. Tune in again next week for another exciting episode of Smart Women on the CTR Network. And remember to live with purpose, passion, and prosperity.